It's really interesting because if you watch the pilot, in the opening scene and the last scene, especially the last scene, you know, there's Daniel walking away with his family and his 2 boys. But halfway through, we had George Marshall was the director. And he wrote in a scene for me that wasn't in the movie. But anyway, I guess they saw it, liked it, and said, you know what, this young kid can handle everything. Why do we need the older kid? So in the middle of the pilot, Daniel went from 2 sons to 1 son, and I became Israel.
Hi, I'm Rob Word, and today we're going to go way back because we're all older now. We're taller. So when we were little kids, we liked to play cowboys and stuff, and we all had our coonskin caps because we loved Davy Crockett and Daniel Boone. How about if you were that kid? Darby Hinton, he's here today. Darby, come on out.
Thank you. Hi, Rob. How you doing?
It's good to see you. Oh,
Thanks.
boy.
How you doing?
I'm great, thank you. I'm glad you're here.
Thanks.
I'm really glad you're here. Now, when I was a little kid, I did have my coonskin cap, and I still have it.
Oh, you do?
And because I'm older than you...
Must be getting pretty ratty by now.
Well, the tail is half of what it used to be.
Aren't we all?
Oh. As a child star, getting cast in that great series, do you remember any of that? Because you must have been 1 year old.
No, actually I was 5.
Okay.
I had already been working for 4.5 years, so
Wow.
I was a veteran then.
What kind of parents did you have?
Actors. Actors, and you know, when I grew up in my family, there were just actors all over. You mentioned Charlton Heston, he was my godfather. Jane Russell's my sister's godmother. Tyrone Power and Errol Flynn, and my dad were like the 3 amigos.
That must have been something.
Yeah, well, Tyrone Power even named my sister Taryn after his daughter Darren, and you know, and they all ended up dying within the same year of each other too.
And young.
Yes, yeah, it was interesting.
Wow. Well, we won't talk about death. We're going to talk about life. We're going to talk about Daniel Boone and your show. A hero to millions, Fess Parker.
Yes, he was. I agree. Wonderful man.
As a child then, being cast, how were you cast? I want to know.
Actually, we got a call that they were casting The Sound of Music. Because the original one, the youngest von Trapp, was a little boy. So my mom dressed me up in lederhosen, knee-high socks, and from the top of Bel Air Road down to 20th Century Fox, had me singing Edelweiss and getting ready for it. And my mom was a wonderful mom, but she was late to everything, even her own funeral. And we showed up.
We don't want to hear about that.
No. Yeah. And we showed up late. And she pulled up, you know, to the Fox lot, and there was the casting building, which was like 3 stories at the time. And she's like, I'll go park the car. You run in, they're waiting for you. You know, come on, go. I'm like, okay. So in my lederhosen and knee-high socks, I ran into the building, and I saw a line of kids there. So I ran up, you know, got in the line, and the secretary kind of does this and looks at me and goes, come here. So I went, what's your name? Well, Darby. Come with me. And she took me in front of all the other kids, and I went into this room, and it was filled with these very big, large men. I had just done a wagon train, as a matter of fact. So I had a flapper because I'd lost a tooth, but they didn't want me to be that age specific. So anyway, I had fun with that. I was just having fun with all these people in the office. And then they thanked me very much, and I went out, and I got in the hallway, and there was my mom running down the hallway, and she sees me. Where are you? They're waiting for you upstairs. What happened? I said, well, I don't know, but whatever's in there, I just got it. And so it was great, I guess. Fess and the producers really liked me because they put me in as a part that they didn't even have at the time. It was Nathan Boone. They'd already cast Israel Boone, or that's what they were all there doing casting. And it's fun looking back on it because if the secretary hadn't fallen in love with me, and I think put me in there just as a joke.
It was the outfit.
It was definitely the outfit, because I wasn't even on the list to go in there. But they cast me as Nathan Boone, and it's really interesting because if you watch the pilot, in the opening scene and the last scene, especially the last scene, you know, there's Daniel walking away with his family and his 2 boys. But halfway through, we had George Marshall was the director. He was a wonderful director. And I got along with him pretty well. I kind of like male figures. I lost my father when I was a year old, so I kind of gravitated, I guess, to these guys. And he wrote in a scene for me that wasn't in the movie, where a flaming arrow goes into a powder keg, and I rush out from the other kids that are hiding and kick it and put it out, and then my mom comes over, oh, Israel. I'm like, yeah. And actually, I don't even think she could say that at the time. But anyway, I guess they saw it, liked it, and said, you know what, this young kid can handle everything. Why do we need the older kid? So in the middle of the pilot, Daniel went from 2 sons to 1 son, and I became Israel.
Fess was a wonderful man.
Absolutely.
Because you spent so much time with him growing up and you had lost your father. Was he sort of a father figure for you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, it was great. At Ames, I mean, there were lots of wonderful people. And that's really why my mom kept me in the business. She got me into it because of a joke. My 2 sisters, older sisters, had started working when they were like 2, 3, doing commercials and stuff, or a little older. And they used to ask my dad when I was born, well, you know, how about your son? Is he going to be in the business? Oh, the kid's a bum. He's a month old, hasn't earned a dime. You know, 2 months old, hasn't. And he loved that joke. My mom hated that joke. So she went and got me on a Playhouse 90 in Jane Mansfield's arms. I think it's why I still love acting today. You start in Jane Mansfield's arms, you keep on to go for it. And she didn't tell him, made him watch it, and he sat there and watched it and just turned to her. Marilyn, you sure know how to ruin a good joke. But then once he died, that's one of the main reasons she kept me in the business, is because she thought it'd be very good to have a lot of male influence around me, and good way to grow up.
I know one season it seemed like instead of on the back lot, you were on location somewhere.
We did a couple. The pilot we shot in Kanab, Utah, and we shot one of the other episodes. But it was Fraser Park, the dark and bloody grounds of Malibu. So we didn't do that much. They went to Florida one year, but Israel didn't go on that trip.
The portrayal of Davy Crockett that he had done for Disney was different from his Daniel Boone character, even though it captured the same sort of enthusiasm from the viewers. Did you go back and watch any of the Disney Davy Crockett's?
If I admit that I just watched Davy Crockett last year for the first time, am I going to get shot?
No.
But because as a kid, people, oh, I love you in Davy Crockett. I'm not in Davy Crockett. So I don't know. I never did really. I saw little bits and pieces, but I never sat down, and it came on TV, and I said, you know what, I think I should watch this. And of course, I love watching Fess.
He was so green at the time when he was Davy Crockett, and a more accomplished actor in the Daniel Boone too, but the productions were terrific. And he, as I recall, he had deferred some of his salary to own a bigger piece of the show at 20th Century Fox. And when it was over, they said, well, I'm sorry, this show's not in profit.
Yeah.
And what happened?
Yes, I remember, because we had the big actors strike, where, you know, actors were standing together to get some better pay and stuff, and of course it went nowhere. And at the time, Fess was in a lawsuit. I had a brother-in-law introduced me to one of the heads of 20th Century Fox at the time. I didn't know we were at a dinner thing, and I sat down. He goes, oh, hi, this is Darby. Darby's suing you for $23 million, by the way. And I'm like, what? And it was Fess, and I talked to Fess about it, and he goes, no, if I win this lawsuit, I'll do more for actors than the strike will. And I'm like, well, great, should I, help you be a part of it? He goes, no, you still like the business, you're acting, so you stay out of this, because it's going to be a bloody fight, but we'll see what we can do. And I sat down at the dinner, and the guy goes, what do you mean? I said, no, that's Fess, that's something. Oh, good, because, Fess doesn't have a leg to stand on, this. And he started going off. I said, well, it's interesting. I like to travel a lot. My mom loved to travel the world, and we went everywhere. And I said, I've seen the show in a lot of different languages, and I sure don't remember getting any foreign residuals or anything. Boy, within a month, I went to my mailbox and got the biggest residual check I have ever gotten. That was a nice thing, but that was my kind of, stay out of it, here it is. And
Well, as a child actor, I know a lot of times you end up having to do your own stunts because they can't find a stunt person your size. Were there any action scenes that you recall that might have been a little dangerous?
Billy Barty. Some of you remember Billy Barty. Yeah, there you go. He was my original stand-in. So Bill and I go back a ways. But yeah, it was kind of hard because they would find the little people to double me. And the bodies just don't look the same as a 6, 7-year-old. So they would do it a couple times, and the director would kind of look at me and I would go, yeah, you know, because I loved it. And then I would go and do a lot of the stunts. There were some I didn't, but most of them I managed to do. One of the most deadly things was Norman, when I did a Big Valley, and they had hired a very young New York actor that was just out, and his name was Richard Dreyfuss. And one of the things they asked him is, can you drive a team of horses? Sure, I can drive a team of horses, no problem. Well, we get on the set, and he doesn't know which end of the horse to feed. And there was a little girl, I can't remember who she was, but there was a little girl playing my little sister. I was there, and he was there, and we're in the buggy, and we have this scene where we're supposed to stop, pull up to, you know, maybe the exit sign, say some lines and stuff. Okay, so we all set it up, and he's sitting there. I could tell he was a little nervous, but I didn't know why. And we're looking, and all of a sudden they yelled, action. And he did the only thing he's done, that he saw it in Westerns. And we take off, and we're heading down the road, we're knocking reflectors over, he panics and throws the reins up.
Oh, geez.
So we're just, you know, holding on for dear life. And thank God one of the Wranglers did a great old Western, you know, jumped on the horse and got alongside and pulled us back. But it was great because I got to hold that over Ricky's head. I still do. That he almost killed me.
Wow. You're unusual in that most child actors
I'm unusual, thank you. So far I've been gray and unusual.
Most child actors are unable to find a place as an adult actor, and you just finished the high-rated miniseries, Texas Rising, about the birth of the Texas Rangers.
Yes, I got to play the first president of Texas. Thank you. Thank you. You know, it was so fascinating because you brought him up. I kind of liked hearing Olivier could mess around backstage and, you know, be joking with the grips and then walk on stage and just go for it. So I kind of always liked that style. I'm a pretty loose guy. Chuck, Charlton Heston, he lived his role. I remember his wife Lydia talking about, you don't know how hard it is to live with Moses.
You got those 10 commandments.
That's it, you know. And, you know, because he would bring it home and he'd stay in the moment. Of course, a fabulous actor. So, and I had taken a lot of time off. I have 5 kids, and you know, there was just a time when my priorities kind of shifted to what my kids were, because I would be working in Romania or Bulgaria and miss a birthday, and I finally just, you know, it wasn't a decision, but I just kind of stopped trying. If you stop trying in this town, they can forget about you really quick. So I managed to, you know, keep a low profile for a long time and just do a play in town that actually has now been running for, this will be our 15th year. We're starting up in January.
What's the play?
It's called The Manor, and we do it in the Doheny estate. It's about the Dohenys, who was the richest man in the world, the Teapot Dome scandal, everything. But what I love about the play is we do it in the mansion where it all took place. We're in the rooms where the murders took place, and the audience follows you around, and it's that kind of thing I like. But the casting director came and saw the play and then brought the producers back, and that's when they approached me, would you know, come and do this? We'd like to have you for it. And I'm like, sure, of course. Well, I hadn't been on the set in years, so I was a little nervous. So I'm flying all the way down to Durango, Mexico. I'm like, okay, I should probably take some advice from my godfather. And I'm going to go in there. And you know, the first president, he hated Bill Paxton's character, who became the first elected president. But so they always had this dueling thing. So I said, okay, that's it. I am going to be a hard ass. And, you know, we get on the set. I'm there the first day. We do the wardrobe. And they get me all nice, and they start taking Polaroids. And they say, you know, we're going to run this down to the set, you know, get director's approval. I said, oh, I'll walk down to the set. I don't mind it. You know, say, oh, it's a long way down. I said, that's fine. You know, they were shooting down in a beautiful canyon there where they shot a lot of Westerns, gorgeous one. And I said, that's fine. I'll walk down. So I walked down the set, and the whole time I'm like, okay, I'm going to be this. You know. And I'd only met Bill like 5 years previously in an elevator for about 2 minutes. So I didn't even think he knew me. I knew somebody, him. We said hi, that was it. And I Walk down there, and they have the smoke going, and it's a river, and it's this mystic scene, and Bill's kind of there, and then he turns around and goes, Darby, how you doing? I'm like, oh. And he turns around and walks to me, butt-ass naked, wearing nothing but blue paint. And I'm like, hi, Bill, how are you? And that whole being gruff and mean, I just couldn't do it. I had to say, he goes, yeah, I know they're not going to see the whole thing, but you got to go for it, right? You got to give them all. I'm like, yeah, okay. So that was my one attempt at staying into character, even off
So he
screen.
looked different in the elevator when you met him then?
A little bit, yes. And I won't even tell you that he decided to go so far as to use some crazy glue because they weren't doing circumcisions back then.
Whoa.
That's what I said.
Whoa.
Who's going to take that off? Anyway.
Well, on that note, I think we've had a great interview here. So, Darby, I want to thank you for being here. And seriously,
I'm ending on a penis joke? Come on, that's not fair.
Well, all right, give us a cowboy story.
A cowboy story?
Sure.
Which ones? There's so many great ones.
Well, all I want is one. Well, we want one, don't we?
I don't know. I love the Cowboys. Part of the reasons I'm so bushy and wild now is I get to film a Western in January.
Oh, what is that?
It's funny. I have this thing I don't like talking about. Growing up in this business and hearing that I could be in the book for people that have been in the business for over 50 years. There's been one or two times that you've been promised a part or told you're going to start on a part and it just falls through. I even did one movie. We were 2 weeks into the shoot, and the producer bet on the wrong Super Bowl team. And the next day, Monday, we were, everybody needs to go home, and we'll call you if we can get this project going again. And they did. It took about a month or two, but they finally got the project going again. So I don't like talking about things in the future till they're in the can, ready to go. But it's a fun Western. It takes place up in the snow. Very interesting.
If it goes, where will it be shot?
Well, it's supposed to be in Northern California.
So Canada, huh?
Well, I don't know, because, I just did the Donner Party last year, and that was fabulous. I got to play George Donner, and boy, did that bring a whole other perspective to the part when you're actually out there living it. But we were supposed to shoot up at Donner Pass, and because of the California drought, we had no snow. So we couldn't shoot there. We had to go, we shot up in Leadville, Colorado, tallest place in Colorado. And we ended up shooting up there. So hopefully this year we will get a lot of snow and it will take place in California. Other than that, I don't know where we're going to have to go. I love all the outdoor. That was one of the things of being the only son, mom and two sisters, is if I said I wanted to go out and do something, especially if it had a manly thing to it, oh yes, sure, go ahead. So, I skydived, I did all those fun things.
Well, and you've told funny stories for us, too, and we appreciate that. Big hand for Darby Hinton. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I hope you had a good time.
I did, yeah.